Well, welcome to another episode of Darby Racing, the Darby Racing podcast.
Yep, correct.
On today's podcast, we're going to learn a bit more about some of our staff members.
This one is brought to us by One Direction to Win.
One selection to win. Don't spoil the podcast.
Okay, sorry.
But
I
in
thought we could
particular,
get some advertising dollars in from One Selection to Win.
in particular, we're going to speak with Steve McIvor, been with the company for 9.5 years, and also Amy Burns, probably the newest member to Darby Racing. But welcome, Mark Holland and Steve McIvor.
Thanks, Scotty.
Morning.
Morning, Margie.
Yeah.
Stevie, you've been with the company 9.5 years, been a long time.
Yeah, it's been 9.5 years, but it feels like I only just started yesterday, to be honest. It's one of those things, you know, you find something in the world to travel or, you know, even work-wise, and horse racing, I'm just so passionate about it, and to get up every day to do something about horse racing, mate, that's living the dream, mate. Living the dream.
Absolutely. Actually said the same thing to Lauren Wadsworth. We're talking about that. Saying we are blessed.
We are.
To be doing what we're doing.
Day,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a great job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Besides myself starting the company, Mark's the longest serving member. You're the second longest serving member.
Yeah.
You started back in the garage days,
In the garage.
Garage days.
filmmaking days.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there.
No, he wasn't there when
That was about 3 months
when we made our
before,
movie.
But the garage days were.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
Yeah.
But Steve, your role here at Darby Racing, in case you don't know, is you do a fair bit of administration, sales. You're part of the bloodstock team. We'll touch on all of that, but let's delve right all the way back.
What's the Stevie McIvor?
What is the story? You're a
Cabinet maker by trade,
cabinet maker by trade.
30 years experience. Yep.
You're an avid punter.
Love punting, love the fall.
Yeah, you got plenty of nostalgia in your racing. You're probably like me back in the burst days, but you go back even further, probably there. Let's start all the way back. What got you into racing?
Probably when we first moved from South Australia to Sydney. I lived at Lidcombe, you know, with my parents or my mum and my brothers and sisters, and they got me to the Rosehill Gardens now, but back then it was Rosehill, 1975.
Is that right?
Golden Slipper.
Wow.
Toy show. Kevin Langby had the red hair. My hairs were red.
Yeah.
Now it's more grey.
Yeah.
Were you 10 or something?
I was 9 years of age.
9 years. I was 2.
And my brother was a punter, and he used to, every time I go to the races after that, he used to always say to me, you know, like, here's your $20. And back then, $75, $20 a lot.
$20
So I said,
money.
I want you to have one bet, that toy show.
Is that right?
It won, and look at him, legendary trainer, TJ Smith. I got hooked, and I loved the Golden Slipper. Golden Slipper to me, and I think we've had discussions.
That's
even-
why you're working for me.
Yeah.
Golden
And to
Slipper.
be part of it, of not just one, but, you know, Yankee Rose,
Yep.
and then 12 months later, She Will Reign, loving that Golden Slipper. Like, I went to the Golden Slipper for 10 years in a row. And
It was the race for our
it
era,
was.
wasn't it?
It was.
Like Melbourne Cup, it's always
Well,
been
they're
that.
the only two races. The Golden, the Cox Plate wasn't even as big, but it was the Golden Slipper
And the Melbourne
Cup. Golden Slipper, Sydney,
Sydney.
and Melbourne. Not
Yeah.
New South Wales or Victoria. It was just those two.
Yeah.
So cabinet maker for 30 years.
Yep.
Before that, you're a barman.
Barman. Yep.
You punch someone's lights out to meet your now
not
wife,
that
Jackie.
many. Or close. Yeah.
Jumped the bar,
Yeah.
and she thought this bloke's all right.
Yep.
2 kids.
2 kids. They're not teenagers now. My son turned 20 yesterday.
Great
so,
kids.
Wow.
yeah.
And you left cabinet making to follow your passion, as we do.
Well, that's
You
right.
started as an owner.
Yep. Well,
the
that's
first-
how we first met. When
Yeah.
you first started, Dave, remember we had a horse called Gladiator.
Very well-bred son of Hassanay
That's
out of
right.
the Not a Single Doubt family.
That's
But I think we all did. We not all meet playing indoor cricket.
No.
Nah, that was... Oh, yes.
So I
and
think
no.
that's where I met you.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing indoor cricket.
He was owning shares
great.
by then. Shares.
Yeah,
Right.
just buying shares.
Oh, I remember that because I was breaking in Gladiator.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think
And
I
it used
met
to be
you
like-
when you were out at
Right, Heritage.
Heritage. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Glad it wasn't that great on the track, but that was your first. Well, I think your first entry in was actually Sonny Albert, wasn't it?
Sonny Albert, yep. Magic Albert out of Sunshine Boulevard.
That's the Storm.
And I
Is that
actually-
the Storm days? Sunny Up?
Yes, yeah.
That's Storm.
That's
Thoroughbreds.
and I met you up at Razorback, remember?
That's right.
On the Saturday morning.
So how did that happen? How did you?
I had a few horses previously.
Yeah,
You know,
because you're in
with
Beldenoro,
mates.
weren't you?
Yeah, but that was with a thing called Platinum Club.
Right.
And that got me back into horse racing because what happened was prior to that, a couple of my mates, we got into a couple of horses, a horse called Moving Lehigh.
Yeah.
The great Rabs Warren called that horse at Gosford Races, actually.
Is that right?
And Paul Evans,
Lehigh.
and I can remember even the day when he won at Hawkesbury. Paul Emrizzoli called the race, actually.
Right.
And he goes,
Huge win.
and like he was 15 lengths off him, and then down the outside, the post was closer down, not where the
not where
post
it
is
is
now.
now.
And
Yeah.
I can hear his call, Moving Lehigh, doing better than them all. And that was the only time I never went to the races. I took time off when it ran at Newcastle, Gosford. It's the only
It's
time.
always the way.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And I watched it at Smithfield TAB because I've just finished my apprenticeship then.
Wow.
Sitting there and I'm going, and the price was very juicy, 25 to 1.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow.
When we just started to expand in Derby Racing in the garage days, looking for back in the unprofessional days, like the real early
Yeah.
days.
Good, we're working in a garage.
You don't. You hire your
It's
brother.
to come
You
to work
hire your
in
mate.
Yeah, we come to work in trackies.
You don't go out and look for the next gun. You hire your mates.
That's right.
Don't
That's
you?
what you do.
And Steve had become a bit of a friend through that.
Yeah.
And
We used to
and
help
what
out at the open
what I
days
liked
and-
about you, Steve, is you could connect with people. You could talk. You could hold your conversation. And I think the three of us, myself, my brother, and Mark, it was hard getting used to owners. And I thought, I tell you, it'd be good with all the owners. Steve McIvor.
Yeah.
All right. We offered you the job and you took it up and off you went.
Yeah.
I remember when you tried ringing me and I didn't have my old phone. So you contacted me on the old way, Facebook. So I said, yeah. And Scott goes,
Right.
I need to call you.
Did we have Facebook back then?
Yeah, that's how you
yeah.
contact me actually through Facebook. I don't know how. And I said, yeah, I'll give you a call. I can remember the day, Thursday. Oh no, it was a Tuesday. And I said, yeah, I'll give you a call. He goes, I might have a job for you. I said, yeah. What is it? Oh, I need this. Oh, I need to think about it. When can I start? And then we had to do, that.
What was your first role at Derby Racing? Because it actually wasn't with the clients, was it?
No, well, mainly it was to sell shares,
Yeah.
sales,
Sales.
and you got me to
Get on the phone
remember
and talk to people.
write
And
down everyone's name. I used to print out it, or get all the pages and
Yeah.
go out in the thing,
Out the back
out
there.
the back, pat your dog. Hello, Steve
Yeah.
from Derby Racing here. Remember?
That's
At least I had a friend, like that,
Yeah.
and it was good. And
that was Chester.
yeah, Chester. That was a black Labrador.
Yeah, Chester, the big back lab cross Roddy.
Yeah, that's right. And I think he probably thought, how good's this? I got somebody over the Monday to Friday. I've got
Yeah,
a friend out the
got a mate.
backyard because, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
People got to go to work. Your animals are out the back
Yeah.
looking at...
He was loving it. Hey, Stevie.
What about the moment we left Wisteria Lane, which was what I called Mount Annan, and we
Good on you. Yeah.
come into the office here? That was a big moment.
It was.
Early on in... Well, how long were you been working? About a year?
A year and a bit.
Yeah.
I remember the funny thing was, because we know what Scott's like, he'll do things off the
Yeah.
top of the bat.
Yeah.
Got to have a crack.
I'm talking about this. He goes, we're going to get the garage door.
Yeah,
Don't
remember
worry
we
about
just
the
got
garden,
we just got the
glass doors.
we got professional guys. We turned the garage into an office. So he took the roller doors out and put glass sliding doors. So it was an office.
Yep. And
Then about a week later, he goes, "We're going to a real office."
Yeah.
I've made a decision.
That's what I call Wisteria Lane from that show that used to have, like the street we lived in.
Yeah.
There's just people. You walk out and there's always
There's people
out
everywhere,
there.
yeah.
And so you had those windows and,
Yeah.
it's hard work. But
Yeah.
they were the good old days, Stephen.
They were.
One of your passions, I know, is bloodstock.
Yeah.
And we talked about on one of the other podcasts how we came through and you've worked close with us over those 9 years. How do you think for you you've developed as your eye in picking a horse from when you started to where you are now?
Big difference because I remember the first day I started. We
That was classic.
jumped in the car.
Yeah.
First day of the classic.
Was, sir.
And
Yeah.
and back then, I remember the first draft we looked at, it was Whitten, it was all the star witnesses. Remember?
First lot of star witnesses. It was.
Star witness, and it was like, wow, they're all these big things. And when I say big, solid
They
things.
were too.
And every time I'll always, with Scott, don't I? I'll always say something. I'm lucky we're not seeing all these star witnesses. But now, like compared to now, you know, I do, and I'm not afraid to ask questions, as you know, Mark. I'll always ask you questions, you know, because one of my mottos is every time that you wake up, you learn something new every day. And, you know, now I go to the sales, you know, and what I like about horses is they've got to be an athlete. And I've heard you speak about this on numerous occasions, even on the earlier podcasts. And athlete, got to have good shape. And, you know, and as I think you said, Mark, as soon as a horse comes out, it's got to take your eye. You know, and that's what you know.
Also,
and I'm still learning, you know. It's you know, because if you think you know everything, you might
never
not
do
that. That's
never
right.
do.
Being an old punter, I often hear, because I'll often work close with Steve, and look who's in the family. And they'll be in the third, fourth dam, and it'll be
I
someone
had a multi on that.
I backed that horse at Flemington.
I remember
who's that?
my wife, Jackie, will always say, how do you remember those things 9 years, 10 years? And you know what? A lot of the story, because I've been with my wife now for 25 years, and it's always something that I always remember. It'll always to do with the horse racing.
Right.
Well, the day I got married, Caulfield Cup Day, diatribe, Jimmy Cat, I told my wife I will not have a bet. So we got married in Botanical Gardens. Then all of a sudden, who won the court? Diatribe. Eugene, like this.
I can second that, Steve.
Yeah.
At the family parties, when geography comes up around Australia. Anyone know where Port Augusta is? Yeah, that's in South Australia.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyone know where,
Swan Hill.
They're all race tracks. How do you know where all these places are? Oh, they're all race tracks.
Good at geography.
You know when you've just said that about racetracks, one of the things that I want to do when I retire is I want to go to each town if I can. If I'm going to take a photo out the front of a racetrack and just keep posting it. Because, you know, like I've been to a lot of racetracks, you know, country tracks. And especially being from South Australia, Port Augusta, you know.
You're not retiring any day soon, eh?
Mate, no.
That's good.
If you hear knocking on the door, you know, but that's a long time.
Right, let's go back, Stevie.
Yep.
Well back before the Darby Racing days. I hear a famous story. I've heard you mention it a number of times, but they haven't heard it. The famous Canny Lad story.
Oh, Canny Lad.
You love your punting.
Yep.
You're not a massive punter, as in dollar-wise, but you love it.
Yeah. Golden Slipper.
Tell us the Golden Slipper Canny Lad story, because it's different. Fixed odds, they don't have them back then.
Right. Well, back then, I used to go to Rose Hill, always. You know what I mean? Nearly every Saturday meeting, if there's a Rose Hill, I'd go there. And I remember when Canny Lad won the...
What year are we talking? 68, 40s?
1990, actually.
Melanie?
Right.
68.
So it was 1990. I'm not that old, mate. No wrinkles here yet.
No, you're looking good there.
So 1990. And every time I'd go to Rose Hill, and if I'd win any money, you could have Melbourne Cup and Golden Slipper.
I remember that.
You couldn't go to the tab or anything like that.
No.
They'd have it on the old bookies. And every time I'd win, I might throw $50, because back then $50, $100 was good, you know.
Yeah, a lot of money.
So I just kept every time I'd win, bang, bang, Canny Lad. I told everyone.
Why? Because it won the Maribyrnong plate.
Well, Shane Dye was the man.
But he won the Maribyrnong plate.
Maribyrnong, and then prior that was his first, win and everything like that. And I just said, well, this horse really hits the line. That's what you want. So that every time, keep backing. I remember even at the cricket, I went to watch Australia played the 5-day test, and I had a lot of mates, and I just said to them, if you want to win it in the Golden Slipper, just back Canny Lad.
Get on Canny Lad.
So I had a fair bit on it. You know, when I say fair bit, enough to win a lot of money. But then there was a filly with me, Malcolm Johnston, was the best filly, and I'm going, oh. But then on the day, I thought, I'm going to have a Canny Lad with me, Quinella. So all up, I've probably won just under $8,000 just on the race with just load up.
In 1990, that's probably worth a good...
Yeah, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money now.
That many tickets. It was the old tickets too,
The written tickets.
Yeah. And then on the day, like the Quinella, I think the Quinella paid about $40, $45.
Right. Wow.
So I had like $50 on that.
Wow.
And that was
You
like
know,
that.
right now, Steve, there's a lot of people of our owners, especially blokes, just glued to this podcast. They love the punting stories.
Yeah.
You got any more good punting stories you can think of? I've heard you talk about the Canning Lad. So, but, I mean, back in 1990, that's
Yeah.
a lot of money, $8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had another day, and it's funny because, as you know, I was away a week ago. For a week, a couple of months ago, with all the old boys that I played cricket and so. And one of the guys went there. Always, for about 10, 12 years, I went to the Golden Slip, and I used to bring everyone. And I had days there, and back then it was an eight race card. I backed the first 6 winners. And
Wow.
and my mates, they go, no, they've got a packet. They never had a bet in their life, but that day I think that day we ended up winning about $2.5, $3,000. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. So, you know, but it's not like that nowadays, you know what I mean? Because it's more just trying to find the winner, you know what I mean? And
Well, Stevie runs our Christmas party punters club. That's always successful.
oh yeah,
That's always brilliant, isn't it?
what about the one the second year we had?
Yeah.
The whole room,
Yeah. The whole
that
room
Roseville
just
erupted, didn't it?
exploded. Yeah.
I thought, well, you were going to bring the place down.
Yeah. That was
Darley
outstanding.
horse.
Darley Horse, and it's never won another race since. It's run about 5 seconds, all being favourite.
I remember that. It was an all in. It was an all chips in. And it was like,
I think we collected
bang.
about 9.5, 10 grand.
I think we better get off the punting stories because every
keep
man his
going.
dog going to start ringing you looking for tips.
Remember we did the tipping side and then
did.
we stopped it?
Yep.
Have you don't do one selection anymore, do
Not
you?
no more. Like, you know, probably the last, sometimes now and then I do. And actually, I've still got the Twitter feed and
that right?
I still get the
One selection to win.
one selection to win.
Follow
Well, it's not
us
bad.
on
I started
Facebook
with
and
no
Twitter.
followers and just on Twitter.
Yeah, you did well.
I got about 4,000, 5,000
Right,
in
yeah.
between that.
Yeah.
Passionate racehorse goer, passionate punter. Favourite racehorse of all time?
Kenny Lad.
No, actually, it's Bo Rogue, actually. Just
The old front runner.
Just one of those horses that he was a people's horse.
Yeah.
You know, actually, he's to me, like I wasn't born then, but if you ask Scott, it might have been.
Yeah.
Vo Rogue, far lap type thing. He brought the little $20 punters, $10. You know, he brought everyone in and get out in front by 10, fifth, catch me.
Yeah, catch me if you can.
And the unfashionable rider, Cyril Small, Vic Rail, the trainer.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Vic Rail, jeez.
Favourite Derby racing horse?
Well, I think there's a few, but the one that really takes my eye is Yankee Rose.
Yeah.
2 part of the story. First day, started Darby
was gonna
Racing.
say, that's the
English
first day
Classic
you started.
At Newmarket.
All right.
And I think it was one of the very first horses we saw. And really, at that sale, I was just a
Actually,
little boy, you know.
Yeah.
I remember that. I'm now getting visions of it because I'm knowing how much you loved racing. So you're like a kid in the candy shop. I'm thinking, your first day
Yeah, I know.
at a sale.
I remember
you'd
we
be
were-
sitting
I
there
remember we were
going,
saying it.
gee.
Yeah.
It was like, it's like, and I got home, I remember getting home, Jack goes, what's
How'd
it
you go?
like? I went, oh, that day just went. But and as you know, sales days, days of sales can take your feet are sore, and
Yeah,
it was like,
it's hard
wow,
work.
it's great. You know what I mean? And not only that sale, at that sale we had Yankee Rose and we had Samadale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
great
but
year.
Yankee Rose is my favourite horse because I think,
Freak.
yeah, and hand on heart, I still don't think we saw the best of her.
Yeah.
You know, because
We
she
didn't.
had feet.
No, she had issues. She had a lot of
that's right.
issues. I was only saying to Lauren this morning, Lauren Wadsworth, her racing manager, it's not always about just picking a horse or whatnot. It's also the judgment. You'd call it judgment. And we talk about it. I definitely, from early days of Yankee Rose, she was a freak. Now, she didn't win what Winks has won and Black Caviar, but she had some freakish traits.
Oh, yeah.
And I always remember that was the feel I had. She was freakish.
Yeah.
And the only other one I put in that bracket was She Will Reign. And not because they're, two of our best horses. It's just there's things about them. And have a look what she's thrown into a door.
Liberty
Liberty
Island.
Island.
Well, it's
She's
funny.
a freak.
They said, I was reading something, Liberty Island, it's the fastest last 600 in history.
Yeah.
It was like, wow. And it's like, as soon as I read that, it was like, that's Yankee.
Because
Yeah, especially
Yankee.
that second start. I think it was the Jim Cassidy Golden Gift. Now it's that big race that you were at the races, mate. And I remember she should never have won that race.
No.
And I think you see it at the 150. She changed legs, and it's like someone just put a jet propel behind her, and just went bang. And that's when I just went, That's a serious racehorse.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Twitter. I don't know when this goes to air, but the Liberty Islands just won the Oaks in
Yes.
Japan, and it's on Twitter. And you don't know. I couldn't remember what colour she wears, so you're starting to watch it, but you're hearing, I can't understand the thing. So you're just going, which one is she? Which one is she? And the headlines to the Twitter is, she annihilates them. I'm thinking, doesn't look like she's going to annihilate them because they switch angles. Yeah. They're going from this end, and it's still another 300 to go.
Right.
And she's only just getting up to the horse,
up,
and then just puts him away.
But
that
ironically,
freakish ability of Yankee has been passed.
But ironically, it's exactly like the Group 1 sires win.
Yeah.
Yankee just cruised up.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
just went bang and how good's this? So it's Yankee's thrown a lot of her traits in that.
She had freakish ability that we never got to see the best of her.
Yeah.
And she had the biggest heart.
Yeah.
Now, what you see in Liberty Island,
Exactly the same.
it's we don't know, but probably a sound horse, which Yankee wasn't. Freakish ability.
Yeah.
Looks like got a massive heart.
Tenacity,
Like,
Yeah, so Yankee rose, and probably Nick's has probably summered out, you know what I mean?
good old Summerdale.
He won the very first Group 1 Wing Stakes too. Remember, that's when I was doing a bit of the racing side. I was in Newcastle, and I thought I might be able to get home because our last runner at Newcastle finished. So I thought I might get home. I pulled straight over the highway on the M7, sat there, and I think there was 2 cars. Go! They probably think, look at this bloke next door.
What's he
crazy?
doing in there?
But he won, So, but I think the best thing about it is, especially working with Darby Racing, you get to meet all different owners, and I think over the next 12 to 16 months, I think Darby Racing, I think we're going to go to another level because some of these yearlings that we bought, even a nice horse that hopefully makes his a winning debut, Osmosis, in the next couple of days.
Well, by the time this goes there, he's
and
probably a Group 1 winner.
And Melbourne Cup, Goldman, I think the next 16 months, I think, if you really want to go with a leading syndicator, get on board, you know what I mean? And I know one thing, when you sit in the parade ring and the horse wins, it just makes grown men and grown women cry.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're like school kids when they first pass the post, giving high fives. It's like
nothing like winning.
Well, I tell that's part of when I talk to people buying into shares, especially the ones that haven't been in shares before. It's like if we manage to get a win for you, you'll understand what it's all about. Because that feeling, and it doesn't matter where it is.
That's right.
Whether it's at Randwick or Bathurst, or it doesn't matter where it is. When that horse wins, you'll understand what it's all about.
Well, I've always said to my mates when they say, so if you want to get into a horse, if it wins a race, get into racehorse ownership, a bit of fun.
Yeah.
If the horse wins and it's a bonus, and then after that, enjoy the ride. If it's a pretty decent horse, enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride because people get, as we know, can get caught up and get involved. But I think the next 12, 16 months, I think we're going to tick a lot more boxes.
Amen to that.
And I'll be glad to be part of it, to be honest.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Steve, it's been great having you on board. You're heading towards 10 years. Hopefully the next 10 years is even better. You put a smile on people's faces. People love connecting with you. People always talk about you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the next chapter of Darby Racing with you.
Thanks, Scotty, and thanks, MH.
Yeah, mate.
Boys.
Good stuff.